Property Mentors is proudly sponsored by Roma Finance and Aria Finance.
Hello, I'm Martin Roberts.
And I'm Nicholas Wallwork.
And we are the Property Mentors.
Today we have got something special in store. We're in prime central London, Martin.
Yes, couldn't get more expensive real estate than this. And we're meeting somebody who is looking to invest but also find somewhere to live. So we've been trawling the opportunities that are available, and we think we've found some really interesting opportunities. Now, of course, when you get to this part of the country, prices are high, but the potential gains are enormous.
Predominantly moving to a base within London, a family home really now, and where I can spend the next 10, 15, 20 years growing as a person and being very close to my existing client base in all companies really. Parking is very key for myself. Owning various cars, Audi R8s, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, it's very important to keep them safe and secure within London, and that's a very, very key part for what I'm looking for from today.
Yes.
Please try not to slam the door, Martin. I've told you that patina is very valuable, that it might fall off if you slam it too hard.
Might damage some of the rust.
Yeah, it's valuable rust.
Anthony.
How you doing?
Very good to see you.
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Good to meet you.
Well, we've got an exciting day ahead for you.
Excellent.
Very exciting, I think.
Yeah, we've gone the extra mile this time, haven't we, Martin?
I think we've upped our game by
yeah.
a couple of decimal points.
A couple of decimal,
Yeah.
a few decimal
Yeah.
points. Yeah.
But Nick's told me a little bit about you. Just tell me where you're at and how we can help.
Of course. I've recently exited from an insurance company, and I've moved into property maintenance, facilities maintenance, and also working within the luxury watch brand industry as well, which is great fun. So I'm looking to relocate from the Midlands down to London, set up a home and a base down here as well, and be a bit closer to my clients and more of the London lifestyle that goes along with owning and having a luxury watch brand really.
When you say exited, do you mean it was your business, you've sold it?
One of the shareholders of the business.
Yeah,
so,
okay, fantastic.
Made
Good for
loads
you.
of cash?
Done all right.
It's good.
Done
So
all
you're
right
cashed
with it.
up, which is good for today's viewings.
You've spent lots of time in London though, so the kind of prices that you're expecting to see here are obviously in a slightly different level to the rest of the country.
They are indeed.
With scope for growth, but also London's seen a slowdown compared to other parts of the country. But there is still that attitude that capital cities, some people just invest in capital cities around the world, and it will always be, a capital city which people desire.
Capital values here, although they dip with the market, they come up. Sometimes they're first to dip, but the first to come back. And we're in a little bit of a sort of slowish market now, I'd say. Potentially a good time to be buying.
And Warren Buffett says the bad news is an investor's best friend because it enables you to buy a slice of the future at a discounted price. So, let's go on to where we are. We are in Paddington. What do you know about Paddington?
I don't know a great deal about Paddington, to be honest. So it's one of my first visits to the area. What I've seen so far is it's beautiful.
Well, years ago, you could have bought bits of Paddington for a relatively low compared to the rest of London price. There has been some massive development around the Paddington area.
Now we've got Crossrail coming into Paddington from the west of England.
Yeah, you've got a classic London square. Okay, so you've got beautiful buildings around a central little shared communal area. And the first property we're going to show you is actually on this square. And I think it's a fairly interesting opportunity, amazing opportunity.
It's a huge opportunity.
But it's also a huge building which costs a lot of money. So what's your attitude to risk?
From my perspective, I've always taken risks. If you don't take risks in the line of work I'm in, you do not progress.
Well, let's go and have a look at the first property.
Come on, look round.
This whole square is pretty special, actually. How the hell, though, did they get planning permission for this part of, the design of this should have been so in keeping with the rest of the square, really. This
These
is
two
it.
blocks.
Wow, very substantial.
Very substantial. They're not the prettiest of buildings on the square, to be fair, and I don't know how they got planning permission for this. However, very functional and potentially a bit of a money spinner. It was, to give you a bit of history, halls and residence for the University of London. So until a few weeks ago, it was still inhabited by students who loved it. Basically, we were told it had 100% occupancy. The pricing was done in such a fact that it's quite attractive. And obviously the location was amazing for those students. So it's got planning permission as it stands for student accommodation and everything that's sort of HMO type thing that goes with student accommodation.
It's been student accommodation since 1964.
And before that?
Before that was a hotel. So it's proven a couple of uses. So one of the potential options could be back to hotel.
Not reinventing the wheel on this one might be the way to go. But what we'd like to do is explore some possibilities for you creating the world's best penthouse apartment on the top where you could live. It only went on the market a week ago.
For a snip price?
Well, the price is, what do you reckon?
Looking at it, I wouldn't even know where to start.
Okay,
It's about 100,000 square feet.
pick a number. Got 330 rooms.
Well, it will have with the planning in, so 313 as it sits.
330.
But there's a couple of 313 as it sits.
All right, okay.
With the extensions and bits of planning they've got
Right,
planned,
okay,
330,
330,
they
yeah.
up it by a few rooms.
Picking a random number, I would probably say between 100 to 125 million.
Is great news because we can offer you at a special 50% discount. No, it's on at 55 million.
Okay.
And offers above. Now, I reckon it's going to be an offers up until the end of the month. So then you've got basically 3 weeks or so on this one. It started at 55. Possibly, I think that's a bit low. But we've been given an indication that probably around the 70s is going to get this. Now, you know, it's a lot of money, but I think for where it is, I think, you know, your initial guess is probably not a million miles wrong. And what we're looking at is the potential yield if you get those rooms rented out.
Yeah.
Because the rooms, we're told, would rent out for around about £400 a week.
For a week, yeah.
And so we've done a bit of a back of an envelope calculation.
Well, a bit more detailed than that. But
Well, no,
for
it
purposes
wasn't.
of
Don't try and big it up.
R&D.
It was completely back of an envelope.
We're looking at probably a 10% gross yield,
Yeah.
you know, which for prime central London,
on 70 million.
yeah. So say
7 million a year.
700 grand. 7 million a year. Can we reset that part?
No, you messed it up. I want people to know you're not always perfect.
700 grand. That's 1% yield.
No,
about London.
330 rooms, £400 a week, comes out at about 7 million a year. So that's pretty impressive. Sort of takes me back to student days. This does. It's a classic. You know, these are all. I don't know if they're open, but these are all all the kind of student bedrooms,
The smell, even.
sort of communal areas. This would have been sort of eating area, or just. I mean, look at the view. Space. Well, I know, not a bad spot.
Central London,
And then through to another room, some kind of a cinema room or something like that. But again, loads of space.
No, definitely, and the ability to modernise these two rooms, especially with a view as well, and maybe a student gym.
Oh wow!
Machines and
I love that, a gym in here. That immediate, because people would then see it through there. You're looking out on that.
exactly, and it would attract future students for future years as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Might be able to do a day rate membership for external people,
wow.
make a bit of extra money. I like the way he's taking ownership
away.
of the investment already.
Yeah.
Shots for 10p a shot. Martin,
Yeah,
remember those
probably.
days?
Yeah, I do remember
Pound
those.
a pint, it used to
We used
be.
to have sticky
Yeah.
carpets in my university.
Yeah, this is actually quite clean.
But you know, and it's just another example of a sort of an area. But obviously, it has some kind of a license, which is, you know,
Yeah, good
worth
point.
noting, because that's not exactly
Turn this
easy
into a
to get.
high-end West London nightclub as well.
You could turn it into a high-end West End nightclub.
There you
Yes.
go.
You could have the access coming through the corner
Could
there.
have
That
it
is
coming through the
interesting.
access.
Separate access.
Separate access to a bar area for students.
Wonderful.
And
Additional revenue again.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, good.
Genuinely
Right.
good
Looking good.
opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, they're maximising space, really. But let's just have a look at a random room.
off to you, Anthony. Thank you.
So I thought it would be useful to show you one of the rooms. Now, this is bigger than the average student room, I have to say, that I've certainly used. But you've got this little living area here, you've got a kitchenette there, and then through to the bedroom, which has got the bathroom off it. All the rooms are slightly different, but it just gives you an idea. Fairly high end. You can understand why you could generate some, I think, reasonable amounts of income from this.
As you can see, everything's tiled. It's chipboard wallpaper, it's conduit, electrics on the walls. It's all been done cheaply. So there's an opportunity here to take this to the next level and attract a higher level of student. I know they did price, the agent said they priced it a little bit cheap, didn't they?
Yeah.
Just to make sure it's fully filled. They had waiting lists for this place at that price. So there's definitely an opportunity to asset manage the value of this up.
And you've got the ability to actually advertise it as a very luxurious student accommodation, being the kitchenette, the ensuite, bedroom, lounge area, which is great. Or alternatively, you block the area off and you've got two rooms.
You do 2 rooms out of it.
We saved the best till last. So in the lift, and let's head to the top.
Definitely.
Check it out.
So all a bit special.
Yeah.
Deceiving. You kind of get an even better idea of where we are. That's Paddington Station behind us, the GWR Hotel. Actually, I think it's a Hilton now, but you know, it was the original GWR Hotel at the end of Paddington Station. You can see all the building that's going on around us. And what we haven't told you is that there's planning permission for the creation of an entire extra floor up here.
Okay.
Adding another
17
bedrooms.
Yeah, 17.
Now, obviously, mindful of the fact that one of your big things is a place to live, just throwing it out there, you could maybe halve that number and say create, I don't know, 10 or whatever extra rooms. And then have one unbelievably amazing penthouse rooftop apartment. And you could have an outdoor space, you'd have outdoor decking. And I don't think you would be able to find an opportunity to have a place with so much rooftop space in such a location,
Such a view.
without paying in its own right millions.
But to get a development opportunity like this in prime central London, it's extremely rare to the market. They just don't come up. You know, people land bank these blocks. This has been in the same ownership for decades. But I think, you know, talking to the agent, they felt, as we do, that keeping the majority of the building to student use is the most sensible approach, giving it a revamp, going for some more foreign and independent students to get the income up. But then the rooftop, I don't see why a little bit of resi wouldn't be allowed. It's out of the way, it's uncontentious. You could keep the council happy with a change of the facade to make the overall square nicer.
Wow.
And sometimes a bit of a trade-off like that, they'll, you know.
There's definitely a lot of potential, a lot of opportunities overall with the building as well, what we've seen so far, and the roof just sets it off. It gets your mind running in so many different directions to work out what you can do with this, really. So it's exciting.
So we haven't wasted your time showing you this.
Not at all. Not at all.
To get your creative juices flowing. Well, actually, this is the first. So it's time to head off to our second.
Yes.
Which is, you know, a slightly, you know, less ambitious opportunity, but a very interesting one nevertheless.
Indeed. Suspiciously like a guy who put the ticket on my van.
Yeah, no, don't worry about it. What's the worst that can happen? Actually, as long as you get it sorted before they tow it away. I mean, imagine this at night up here.
Picnic.
Champers.
Sounds like Anthony's kind of lifestyle, I think.
Don't be put off by what it looks like, by the way.
This is the fun bus.
Yeah, I'm reliably informed it won't break down.
It's not quite up to the standards. I hear you've got quite a nice car, Anthony. What have you got? Lamborghini. Very nice. Very nice.
Property Mentors is proudly sponsored by Roma Finance and Aria Finance.
So, We have brought you to one of the most prestigious addresses in London. This is Holland Park. Richard Branson, I think, owns a house here. I mean, people who, you know, the list goes on. Embassies, whatever.
Countries own properties here.
Wow.
Well, it's an extraordinary trophy property.
And it's probably going to suit you because it is really an owner-occupier building. We've done the numbers as a developer and it might make you 10% profit on your costs, but that's really not enough. And when you're in central London with the restrictions of developing here and the high costs, high finance costs if you're going to do any development finance to get it built, the numbers are really tight, so we wouldn't recommend it as a development. But as an owner-occupier, you can make 10% instant equity on your investment as a home. So there's a nice kind of, you know, side effect of owning in this area that you're going to, you know, not going to be out of pocket redeveloping it.
There's lots of issues. Parking is one. It's unlikely that you're going to get a parking permit, which means that, you know, there is parking on the street, but you'd have to pay for it. And also developing in this area, you know, you're going to have to be mindful of the complications of developing in central London, redeveloping, renovating, whatever. But this is rocking horse dropping stuff. This is stuff that is so hard to find.
At this price, in this area. Some of those problems are solvable, and that's what we like, isn't it? We like to be able to solve problems, add value, and this does that. You're not buying at the top end of the market. You can add that value here and have a buffer having done it.
It's just so kind of imposing when you...
Besides the gate.
Yeah, look at the gate, oh my word.
After you.
So lots of anticipation. You immediately get a feeling of grandeur, the high ceilings. Besides the doors,
amazing,
almost makes you feel like you're very little.
This is how I feel in my own house.
Is it? Really? Okay, well, that's, this is probably the biggest of the reception rooms. I mean, you know, at the moment you've got lots of drapes on the windows, but imagine that just open up a bit more. And then, unless you've even got your own chandelier.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
You mentioned parties and wanting to have parties. All the original woodwork. I mean, I would say, I'm not certain, but because this hasn't actually been on the market in recent history, it's going to be rare to find something which has got, you know, hasn't been touched.
Well, as an embassy building previously, this would have had statesmen and women come to it potentially. That's how grand this building is.
I think that one word summarises it. Grand.
Grand.
Yeah.
Just the walking into the entrance and just the height of the ceilings, the decor and how it portrays itself is grand.
Do you like the start of it? You like
Absolutely.
What we found?
Definitely.
Let's show you.
That's pretty special.
It's pretty special. Now this is one of the nicer rooms at the moment. It has been left vacant for I think around 8 to 10 years maybe. So
Just that address, that's like saying the Royal Crescent Bath or, you know, whatever else. I mean, Holland Park, it's just still, whatever. I don't know how it got to this position, but it is.
as well. All this will come up nicely. Imagine stripping that back to the bare metal. It's been painted over God knows how many times. But could be restored to its former glory. Here we are in one of the main front rooms. First thing to note, for me, is the flooring. What a beautiful feature of this building, and often, you know, just be able to strip this back properly and restore it, I think is one of the features of this house which should potentially be maintained.
The interesting thing is, though, I think, well, you might have different views on this, but it's not too big just to be a family home. Ostentatious though it would be, it would just be a really amazing family home.
Yeah.
I can see that. Definitely see that. It's the feel of the rooms, the tall, which is great, but they don't feel too large.
No, it's got a garden, but the garden's very, very overgrown, but I think it has great potential.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's another floor. So, you know, I mean, it just goes on. And
I think we have another couple of floors actually.
yeah, right, fine. Two floors.
I lost count because we went down as well, didn't we? So you were about to say.
But there's a basement as well.
That could prove brilliant for a separate apartment. So it means you've got a rental revenue coming in as well as your family home that you need as well.
Let's carry on anyway. I love the fact that even some of the smaller rooms have got chandeliers. I mean, it's a bit of a cliche, but I mean, look at that. Another nice sized room. It's got its ensuite. You can see this is a really nice bedroom. So so much scope. And as you go further up, I think originally maybe the servants' quarters or something like that.
Interestingly, Martin, there's a rear staircase, a small rear staircase. So that would stand to fact that that would have been servants' entrance.
Shall we wander back outside? Maybe you have a wander around if you want.
Yeah, definitely.
And then we'll reconvene outside and just talk through your thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay. He liked it.
He certainly was coming up with ideas how he could make it his own, and that's the first sign they're starting to move in, aren't they?
Yeah. Have we told him the price yet? We haven't told him the price yet.
Ooh. Hopefully that doesn't put a spanner in the works.
I mean, it's quite a lot, but it's not a lot for what it is. So
No.
as long as he understands the area
Yeah.
and the kind of prices that this area sort of commands, then we'll be all right.
Did you get lost?
I did get lost.
Where you got to?
Especially down in the basement. It was
Oh, wow.
very, very interesting down there. It was absolutely amazing. But what a property. It's got so much potential. You've got the ability to either have it as a whole family home, I believe, or alternatively even a basement flat along with the family home above, and there's more than ample space above as well. So it's absolutely beautiful.
Now, we realised that we have been a little bit remiss. We haven't actually showed you the price.
It's a minor detail, Martin.
It's a small detail. How much do you think it is?
If I was to put a figure on there, once done up initially, I would probably say you're talking 45 to 50 million.
Wow, yeah.
At this stage, but with the amount of work that's involved, especially down in the basement area with the tanking and everything else that needs to be taken on within that vicinity, I'd probably say between 20 to 30 million roughly.
Okay.
It's very difficult with the location.
So the deal is currently on the market for 25 million. So you are absolutely on the money.
Knows his London market.
He does.
I had a snitch.
Now, interestingly enough, it has been on the market for 2 years. Because the big thing about this is that it does not have residential planning permission. Okay, it's currently got planning permission to be an embassy, whatever the particular D1C3, but I don't know what that.
Sui generis,
So,
maybe?
yeah, whatever. Yeah, it's probably
Embassy
sui
come under
generis.
those? I
Yeah,
have no
exactly.
idea.
So it doesn't have planning permission for it to be what you want to be. Now, initial inquiries, somebody's previously made initial inquiries, done what's called a pre-application, right? So they're chatting to the local planners who are obviously a little bit, protective, as you might understand, of this area. And they've said, in principle, it could be a single family home. But they're not going to give you parking permit. I mean, you're going to spend 25 million, 30 million pounds on a house, but they won't give you a parking permit. Which
one parking
seems
spot.
a little bit, what's the word?
Bureaucratic.
And how much are you paying in council tax and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah,
but they won't give you a
goodness
parking
me.
permit. A little bit meany-weeny, I think.
A lot of these bigger properties have been split into multiple flats. And that's the point, isn't it? There's lots of several £1 million flats, but to get something unbroken is real treat.
I think you know that, though, don't you?
Definitely. And also with the garden out the back as well, it's rare to have that much space in a back garden within prime central London. So it's got some very, very good features. Need to work on the workaround on the car parking.
Well, the agent did have one idea for that, if you remember, Martin. He suggested that you buy the Muse house that's out the back. Just buy a little £2 million, £4 million Muse house for your car. Well,
No, not for the car, to get access.
to get
I think.
access to
Yeah.
the rear
Or
and
to
possibly
parking.
for a parking.
Should we go back to the bus and get your thoughts?
Definitely.
Let's do
Back
it.
down to earth, guys.
Yeah. Back down to rust.
The first property, that was an interesting one. And I feel there's a lot of potential there for commercial as well from the gym perspective. My only thought on that particular property was, could I also make it a family home, or would it be more towards the investment side of it? And I feel it's more towards the investment, where I'm sort of looking at main focus is a home, and then if there's an investment that can come on top of that, perfect.
Then we brought you to Holland Park, where we've just been. So, what are your thoughts on that then?
Absolutely beautiful. Stunning property, very grand. you can actually see yourself living there. You can see yourself convert or renovating and turning that property into your dream home. And it does have that touch of investment there as well, with potentially, subject to planning, the ability to turn the basement into a 4 or 5 bedroom flat as well. So there's a lot of potential there, which is great. The only bit we need to work on is the parking.
Well, you just have to buy a second house for that.
This is
Simple problem. No, but you know, you potentially could lease some local parking. There's a number of car parks, hotels, all within walking distance of here.
As we said, if you put in a cheeky offer, you might be surprised. Sat there for 2 years. Bit of an uncertain market at the moment. London property prices increasing, interest rates. You know, they've already tested it. Probably didn't fly off the shelves as quickly as they thought it would. I think you're in a strong position to put in a cheeky offer.
I think there's a hidden opportunity with that property. And I think the hidden opportunity is offering subject to planning. I think,
Oh, yeah.
you know, I think they've had it on the market 2 years now. Initially, they obviously wouldn't have wanted that. So not only is there some serious price negotiation, but maybe giving them the price they want, but subject to the planning, that could be a win-win solution potentially for this one.
Good idea.
Take some of the risk out of it.
Exactly.
Very true.
Yeah, I hope that was useful.
It was very, very useful and
Good luck with whatever you decide.
a great way to spend the day. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Good to meet you.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
I think we've opened Anthony's eyes to some opportunities.
Opened his wallet, if nothing else.
Well, that's the thing about London, though, isn't it? I mean, the numbers, you know, especially from outside London, are astronomical. We're talking about, you know, 55 million here, 25 million there. I mean, you have to spend big here to potentially, you know, benefit
To
big.
get into the market, it's all you have to spend big. And the thing about money is money makes money in prime central London, which is its own micro market, its own microcosm of craziness in property. You've got to have deep pockets, but the returns potentially can be fantastic.
I mean, of the two we've seen, it's unfortunate because actually the first one in Paddington, I thought for 55 million compared to the one in Holland Park here for 25, had more opportunity, to make loads of money ongoing, but it wasn't what I don't think Anthony wanted. He wants a family home. He wants a trophy home.
Yeah. We really got to the bottom of that today, didn't we? By showing him both options, we clearly saw he was more home orientated in this one. Look, they always say, everyone always says, shouldn't let your heart rule your head. But in this case, he sold his property. He's a good investor. He's got ongoing investments.
Yeah.
It's time to buy the house he's always dreamt of. And hopefully we might have given him a serious contender today.
Yeah, without a doubt.
If you'd like to follow us for more interesting property related content, do subscribe using the links around this video.
Goodbye for now.
Property Mentors is proudly sponsored by Roma Finance and Aria Finance.